Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to decode a 1400-year-old mystery that honestly, eerily maps right onto modern geopolitics, climate science, and history. We are talking about the mighty Euphrates River. Now, 4,000 years before the Prophet Muhammad was born, the Euphrates was already ancient. I mean, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Greeks, the Romans, literally every great empire of the ancient world drew its greatness from these exact waters. It is the oldest continuously inhabited riverbank in human history. But here's the wild part. 14 centuries ago, in the Arabian Peninsula, a man with zero access to satellite imagery, no understanding of modern geology, and obviously no concept of an international energy market, well, he made a breathtakingly precise prediction about this specific river. So, let's dive right in and look at the history, the geology, and, honestly, the kind of terrifying present reality of this prophecy.
Right out of the gate, let's look at the text itself. It's a chilling prophecy straight from the 7th century. This comes directly from Sahih Muslim, which, for context, is the second most authenticated book in Islamic tradition. The Prophet Muhammad stated that the Euphrates will, at some point in the future, uncover a mountain of gold, and that this revelation is going to trigger a massive, catastrophic conflict. What's absolutely crucial to understand here is that this isn't some weak or disputed text. It carries the highest level of authentication, and it explicitly points to a future event that will fundamentally alter the entire region.
Now, what's truly terrifying about this is the astonishing psychological precision. The prophecy isn't just predicting a 99% fatality rate for those fighting over this treasure. It actually predicts the exact rationalization of human greed in warfare. It captures that very specific, almost delusional mindset of the soldier, the militia member, or the opportunistic fighter who stares down an almost certain death sentence and literally tells themselves, "Not me, I'll beat the odds. I'm going to be the one who survives." It's a haunting reflection of nationalism, ideology, and sheer economic desperation.
Moving into Section 1, 3 Mountains of Gold. So what exactly is this treasure? To solve this massive historical puzzle, scholars generally point to 3 prevailing interpretations for what this mountain of gold could be. And remarkably, all 3 are actively shaping the Euphrates region right now. First up, we have the literal interpretation, like an actual geological shift or a drying riverbed exposing physical gold deposits hidden beneath the earth. Second, we've got oil, widely known as black gold, which, let's face it, has completely defined the last century of conflict in the Middle East. And third, fresh water, the idea that as the river dies, the water itself becomes this priceless treasure that sparks future wars. All right, Section 2, Theories 1 and 2, Beneath the Sands. Let's look at the case for oil.
Let's dive into that most historically compelling interpretation first, the discovery of petroleum in the Mesopotamian basin. Get this, the region surrounding the Euphrates contains an estimated 48% of the entire planet's proven oil reserves. Think about that for a second. Nearly half of all the oil on Earth is concentrated in the exact geographic region named 1,400 years ago. It's a resource so consequential, so absolutely vital to the global economy, that it essentially runs modern civilization as we know it.
To really put the scale of this mountain into perspective, beneath the sands of Iraq alone sits an estimated 145 billion barrels of crude oil. And by the way, that doesn't even include undiscovered or offshore reserves. When you have a literal treasure of this magnitude buried underneath a civilization, well, it attracts the attention of every major power on the globe. And, tragically, with that attention comes absolutely devastating conflict.
When we objectively look at the historical data, the toll of modern resource wars in this exact region has cost well over 1.5 million lives. You've got the Iran-Iraq War, fought partly over the waterway where the Tigris and Euphrates actually meet. Then the 1991 Gulf War, the 2003 Iraq War, which, as we know, was heavily motivated by control of Iraqi oil reserves. The Syrian Civil War, the rise of ISIS, who literally funded their entire campaign by capturing oil fields right along the Euphrates Valley. So whether that 99 out of 100 fatality rate is a literal statistic or just a vivid representation of disproportionate slaughter, the sheer volume of bloodshed over this black gold gives some seriously haunting context to the prophecy.
Okay, Section 3, Theory 3, The Dying Euphrates. Welcome to the Water Wars. Now, while the oil wars might look like history to some, the water wars, they look entirely like our immediate future. This brings us to a real-time crisis that's seriously alarming UN scientists and military strategists right now. The Euphrates is dying. And guys, that's not a metaphor. It is an undeniable scientific fact. According to a 2021 UN Environment Program report, the mighty Euphrates has lost a staggering 40% of its flow volume since the 1970s. The river is shrinking so incredibly fast that satellite imagery shows sections that were once deep enough to navigate are now just completely dry, cracked riverbeds.
Tracking this catastrophic decline since the 1970s reveals a pretty grim picture. Now, a lot of this is definitely driven by climate change. I mean, temperatures in the Middle East are rising at twice the global average. But a massive piece of this puzzle is human intervention. Take Turkey's GOT project. It's this massive infrastructure initiative that constructed 22 dams and 19 hydroelectric plants upstream. When the centerpiece of this project, the Ataturk Dam, was completed back in 1992, Turkey literally held back the flow of the entire Euphrates for a full month. Just paused it.
And this brilliantly, though tragically, illustrates the severe geopolitical tension happening today. You have Turkey upstream, basically controlling the tap, and downstream you have Syria and Iraq suffering catastrophic agricultural collapse. We're talking Iraqi farmers reporting losing up to 80% of their irrigated land. Because of this, secular strategic analysts, people whose literal job is to study military vulnerabilities, are now openly predicting that armed conflict over water rights is a near certainty within the next decade. And the scariest part? There's zero binding international agreement on how to share this water.
As the river recedes, revealing its ancient beds and hidden aquifers underneath, conflicts over this irreplaceable resource could easily dwarf even the deadliest oil wars. Think about it. You can transition your grid to solar or wind energy, right? You absolutely cannot transition away from drinking water. In a region of 100 million people, fresh water is rapidly becoming far more valuable than any petroleum reserve. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate treasure.
Section 4. The Ultimate Warning. Let's look at the prophetic instructions.
So, what are we supposed to do with all this information? The geopolitics are terrifying, the historical death tolls are just staggering. Well, we have to turn to the profound psychological insight and actionable advice left by the prophet, because here's the absolutely crucial point. The Hadith wasn't just some dark prediction of the future, it was a direct spiritual instruction to stay away and not participate. Let him not take anything from it. That's a command. When this massive treasure is revealed and literally everyone is rushing toward it, taking sides and justifying all this violence for economic gain, you must walk away.
This ancient text really forces us to confront the reality of human nationalism and greed. It points directly at that false rationalization that makes us think we can somehow beat the odds in a fight for wealth. Perhaps I will be the one who survives. When you hear that little voice in your head, or when you hear politicians and warlords using that exact logic to justify conflict, you are hearing the exact trap the prophet warned about 14 centuries ago.
So, whether this prophecy was completely fulfilled by the oil wars of the last century, whether it's going to be fulfilled by the desperate water wars of the coming decade, or whether a literal, physical mountain of gold is still waiting to be uncovered beneath the Mesopotamian sands, the timeless lesson remains exactly the same. Step 1. Recognize the illusion. Step 2, refuse to participate. Step 3, walk away. Not every battle is yours to fight, and for sure, not every treasure is worth the cost of your soul.
I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to consider, long after this explainer ends. We've spent all this time talking about global wars and international resources, but on a deeply personal level, what is the Euphrates gold in your life? What is that material temptation that everyone around you is fighting for, the thing that threatens your peace? And more importantly, are you willing to just walk away from it? Because the believer who guards themselves from the temptation of wealth, who keeps their hands clean from the conflicts of greed, is the one who truly survives. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.